Today's guest, Pedro Romagnoli, has an unconventional career path. He transitioned from study law in Chile and Brazil to a vibrant hospitality scene in Copenhagen. Pedro's passion for industry and sharp understanding of spirits led him to work at renowned bars such as D'Angleterre or Trio, learning from the best. Now at Copenhagen Distillery, he is shaping the industry from a new perspective. In this episode, we will explore Pedro's career change, the skills that helped him transition, and how his experience behind the bar influenced his approach to sales and brand development. Pedro, welcome, and thank you for accepting this invitation. So, Pedro, how did you end up in this industry?
In Denmark, I had a bit of history in Chile. Actually, I work in a bar called Chile Libre. It's the biggest pisco bar in the world, actually. It's like 85 different bottles of pisco classes. It was pretty interesting, actually. But I did a few months there. I moved here. I was going to study in the university. I didn't like the university. So I found myself in Denmark by myself. And then it was like, what should I do? I don't know anybody. Work in a restaurant called Yama. That is a Latin American restaurant. From there, I did to bar, the bar manager, and that's why I ended up in the industry. Kind of a bit coincidence, though.
All right.
In a way.
I'm asking this question because I've seen you have a big history before with law. So that's when you said you did not like it. You started to study law and you did not like it, or?
No, I started. So my dad is a lawyer, and my older sister, I have two. She's also a lawyer. So when when I found myself to go to university in Chile, I just felt it was kind of like obvious. It was not expected, of course, but I just felt like, I kind of like know what I'm doing there. And I just never liked it that much. And then I moved to, I went on a scholarship to move into Brazil. So I was working and studying there in Brazil as a lawyer. And that's why like in the 5th year, I finished my classes, but I didn't do the final test. So it's kind of like in Danish, like jura and jurista.
Yep.
So I didn't finish, and then I dropped everything for moving to Denmark. So I spent 3-4 months in Chile, was the time that I was working at the bar there. And then I moved here. So that was like the law background, Chile and Brazil.
Okay, and what did actually made you to go into bars specifically? Because doing this shift from law to bars, it's a big shift in a regular person's eye.
I mean, I don't know. I think like it was a mix of, first of all, like I moved here, dropping everything, and I was by myself. So it was like I need to fucking work and make money.
Okay.
So there was like, okay, what can I do? The original idea of what I wanted to do law, it was like a bit of the social side. I don't know if naive, but like I was really much expecting to like do something for people. I went to a very like, I don't know if it's socialist is the right word, but very like taking care of the people high school. So like I was coming with that background. And because of that, I wanted to do law. Then when I moved here and I need to find a job, it was easier at that time to working in that industry. And I found myself in the service industry, what actually I was looking for before. I was like meeting someone with money or no money, that it could be happy or unhappy equally. Then just serving people and getting a smile back or creating a special experience and so on. That I find like very, gratifying. So that's how I found myself like, okay, I like this. And because when I moved and I got accepted in studying here in Copenhagen, then I was like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Like, I don't wanna go back to Brazil, I wanna go back to Chile, I'm already here. I have Italian passport for my mom.
Okay.
So it was easier to have to move inside Europe, but I wanted to give a try, at least for a year, to figure out what to do, and then I just love it.
And then you came up in here to study still law or study?
No, it was international. I got accepted in international business and also international business and politics in CBS.
Okay.
But I don't want to generalize CBS, but it was kind of like the type of people that I was trying to avoid from, and not all CBS, but at least in bachelor in CBS is a bit of like a prototype. Master degree is a bit more mixed.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, and also like I kind of like didn't feel like going to put my ass in a classroom again. Like I already spent 5 years doing that, So getting rid of the suit and tie and just trying to be a bit more casual. It was also like a bit more me. I don't know.
I understand you on this one with the CBS. We have exactly the same opinion.
Yeah.
Right? This year as well. So happily, I did not get accepted, and I did not even finish my application through them. I was like, okay, I will not do it, just because exactly the same reason. And you said you never finished your education in here. It was more like because you liked so much in the industry, or it was because you did not like it enough? The whole CBS vibe, I think
if I wouldn't have liked like the industry and the hospitality side, I think I would have pursued to go back to university, perhaps studying something else, another university, I don't know. But because I liked it and I felt that I was good at it and I care, I just didn't even second guess about it. It was like, this is what I want to do. And kind of like when you start this industry, you never really know how far it's going to take you. I believe, this is obviously my opinion, then there are several people from the industry that they just found themselves there, but they don't really have the passion out of it. So it comes a bit of like this year of gap in your, like this gap year in your life, then you're like, what I'm going to do, I just work in a pizza place or whatever. But when you find the people that actually they do care and you really find passion out of it, like I think the growth can take you in different directions. And those are the people that normally I would personally like look up to in any place that I worked before.
Yeah, I believe you are one of them as well, because I looked a bit before this podcast with you. I looked into your profile, and you started, as far as I noticed in the online world, and you started with Trio. You went to D'Angleterre, and now you are in a Copenhagen Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of trace, what kind of values you take from that high-end and luxury places that you can transfer them to this position that you are right now? Because in there, I've seen that you only climbed up. So you went from the assistant venue manager to manager, and now you are in Copenhagen Distillery doing all of the
I started even lower, to be honest.
Okay.
Because like when I started, it was my first place was Yama, as I said, from Kofoco. It's in Lille Kongensvej, next to Kongsnytor. I was lucky because I didn't have much experience, but the manager at that point, it was a Chilean French guy, and he told me like, you don't seem to have many experience, but I know your high school, and I know it's a good high school, so I'm gonna give you a shot. So I was runner there.
Okay.
Runner to waiter, then I started helping at the bar, then eventually bar manager. I was there for like 2 years and a half, something like that. Then I got a call from Gobo Hansen. He's now in Admiral, he's the F&B. But he used to run Ruby back in the days and everything. I got a call from the guy, and I moved to Trio. And I don't know, what did I learn from each of the places? I mean, in Kofoco, all the places were super different, man. I mean, Yama, it was mostly young people, then they will get paid quite low, but you have like open bottles of wine after the service, go party type of thing, and just having a good time. So it was a lot of like this Sabbath-o mentality. It was fun, but also like really McDonald's high speed just going. Also, that place is a bit special because back in the days, they used to move the tables on weekends and doing like a DJ play music live. So it was nightclub vibe. So it was pretty high pace. And I was also going to Danish lessons at that point. I was going intense. Back in the days, it was 4 times a week, 3 hours every day in the studio school. It was pretty good. I think that was one of the best decisions that I take.
Okay.
To be honest, to pursue that. It was rough, but it was worth it. I learned a lot of kind of like, shit, I feel a bit bad to saying this out loud, but kind of like I saw a lot of people that like, I just felt like they don't have any aspiration, kind of like higher than like using years of your life to just having fun. In my case, like this was already for me kind of like a second opportunity. And I was doing something that I wanted to. So I was always thinking of which direction to grow and which things to learn. And eventually I just felt a bit like stuck. I felt like I could just let myself be here in the limbo and just having a good laugh and just get older and fatter, just doing nothing, So I think that kind of like pushed me towards like, let's take a new challenge. I met awesome people. I did. I remember like when I moved here by myself, it was March and I didn't know literally anybody. So I remember like one of my colleagues, Magnus VP, I doubt he's gonna see this. He was the first guy ever to make me feel like welcome. I remember like he said, good job to me. He slapped me in the ass. He's a Danish guy, and I was like very shocked because I was coming all these prejudices and Danes are so cold and everything. He kind of like proved me wrong. And then I met more people and everything, but that was like the first time. So I met really nice people, guests, and they were like a bit more like us now, kind of like middle 30s, chill people, had a good time. I didn't met like many arrogant people in that sense. Then I moved to Trio, was different. I was under like Paul Graham. Then like not many people know him now because it's a bit of like the old guys. But he opened Bronum actually, and he was also working at Lead Cube. He brought all this Scottish wing of bartenders here, like Richard Pale, and now it's gone. Steve, that he was also at Lead Cube running the whiskey bar. Colin as well, that now is like a legend here. But also they were friends from childhood, as far as I understand, but at least for a long time. So Paul taught me like the hard part of like being bartender, kind of like how to do things properly. And he's very Scottish. So he was like treating you like shit, but with the meaning of kind of like, it's like Gordon Ramsay, those TV shows type of thing. But you learn a lot from the guy. And I really, really enjoy working with him. I quit twice on the spot. He both kept me and we were very good friends as well. So like we would just finish the bar job and then he would be like himself. But he just didn't know I don't know if better, but he didn't know different how to teach. But I learned a lot from the guy. And that's what I felt kind of like I make a huge jump of bartending. Just also being a bit more humble, because I think there is a lot of like arrogance at least behind the bar. Kind of like the bar manager tells you how to do something, and when bar manager is turning the back, you want to do it differently because you feel that you know better. I think like Paul taught me a lot of like discipline in that sense. And I have a huge respect for him. He's now in Australia with Kitty. Kitty used to work at Ruby, so it was like a bartender's couple. I went to their wedding in Scotland. It was pretty fun. With I don't want to tell more about the wedding, but it was pretty fun time. Some of the guys, maybe they are listening to this, they were there.
You said you quit twice in that job. What made you actually quit? It was just stress. It was
no. There is stress. It was just like the way to make you feel sometimes. Kind of like, I mean, everyone who has worked with like old school Scottish people, they know they can be hard. And I have a thick skin, it's fine. But he will start kind of like, he was ready to step out of the bar and he couldn't find the way. And also he didn't speak Danish. So I think like also like was holding him a bit back. Mm-hmm. So he was getting lazy and giving you shit and you were doing double job. So then at some point in the shift, like I just feel like kind of like, I'm fed up. I'm out of here right now, you know? And he will, I remember like one day he closed the bar during meal service for like 15 minutes, pull me aside and have a chat with me, apologize, and try to kind of like keep me down, so to explain me like in the best of his capacities that he was sorry, but I didn't want a sorry. It was more kind of like, dude, I just needed you to change a bit. I don't mind that you tell me I'm fucking retarded. That's fine. I mean, like, that's your way, you know? But it was more like I don't know, man. It was more kind of like, it was unnecessarily much sometimes. But I mean, now in perspective, it's fine. Like, I mean, I really learned, I don't think I would have learned as much if he wouldn't have been who he is. And I don't hold any grudge. He's my friend. Still until now, we still talk. And then from there, I moved to D'Angleterre. D'Angleterre, to be honest with you, I kind of like, I wanted to start taking a step forward towards, I don't know, like having a bit more resources to do better. D'Angleterre had, at that point at least, the highest paid salary for bartender that I knew. And yeah, I confront something completely different. It was like people would come to the bar because it's D'Angleterre, regardless, national, international, and the standards were, in my opinion, very low. And yeah, usually you have to fight with an F&B director, then they don't see the same needs that you do because the numbers are there anyways. Mm-hmm. It was a big challenge, and people-wise, trio-wise, people were gonna go for the cocktails. D'Angleterre was like also a bunch of coffee, so it was a bit of a different. But yeah, the three of them, Yama, Trio, and D'Angleterre, they gave me and teach me different stuff that I treasure for now. And how I use that now with the distillery, I mean, I think mostly like in my field of exports, you deal with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and you normally have like about a few seconds to do a first impression. The first impression really sticks. It's really hard to get the opportunity to change someone's mindset the first time. It could happen if you see each other all the time, but if it's someone that you're just meeting for that occasion, it doesn't. So moving from something like so loose of like almost like I don't know, free pouring from Yama to strict as Trio and then D'Angleterre standards, it helped me to kind of like be a bit more chameleon and try to give a good read of someone, how they dress, how they look, body language and stuff like that. And that's been something that like I've definitely been using it for the export side.
Okay, so you say that those experience in the past with all of the places, all of the three places, give you a bit more understanding on all of the non-verbal communication as well, but also verbal. Mm-hmm. Trying to understand, having lots of guests and trying to understand that mentality, and then going right now in a position where you have to deal with them for a couple of seconds and then you need to read them and then be their peer, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, like imagine like at Yama you will have guys of our age getting shit-faced with mezcal, awesome. You had Trio guys that were like from Deloitte office because it was right next to them, and then D'Angleterre you had like William Defoe or the guy from Game of Thrones or fucking Obama, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you really got the whole spectrum there. Then you are I was in Singapore in April, and you meet a guy that is like jeans, normal looking guy, and he's actually he owns 95% of all the electricity in the Maldives and all the setup and the resorts, and that's his side job. The guy is multi-billionaire, and you have no fucking idea because you just saw the guy with him. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I think that's what I use the most. And as well, when you approach to bartenders for selling your product, you have a better reading of the room, you know. Like, well, I don't want to get into the next. Maybe we're gonna talk about those topics afterwards. But I think it's also a bit of you have to, in my opinion, have respect for the person who's on the other side. Also, read if it's the right moment or not the right moment, and yeah, I mean, try to be a bit more human. Man. Like, I mean, the bartender is behind the bar is a fucking human, and the guest as well is a human, and it's just work or leisure time for the guest, but there's a lot going on in someone's head that you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are often seeing when you are behind the bar, you're often seeing as a bartender needs to be the psychologist, needs to be the waiter, needs to be everything. And this kind of values are some that I believe personally they can go and they can transfer to other jobs. For instance, going into from completely different industry. You, as you said, you came from law. What is one thing that you can take it from law and then transpose it into hospitality and vice versa?
I don't know, that's a hard one, man, because I tried to get rid of as much as I could for what I learned in law. Law was an extremely arrogant environment, in my opinion. Just like the way to speak, you try to like change certain words so you can easily communicate in a normal language to make it more difficult to understand because it's coming from Old Latin. Why? If I would have to say what I can use from law to now, it's also know how to, I don't know, maybe how to dress well when it's needed, or how to use proper manners, keeping eye contact, perhaps, stuff like that. Kind of like more like etiquette things.
Okay.
But we don't deal with many lawyers for my side of work now, so thankfully. Nothing against lawyers. My sister's still a lawyer, but yeah, not my crew.
Okay, so when you say you go to meetings that influenced you as well, all of the values influenced you into the career. Now, what can you see? For instance, right now we are on a meeting. Mm-hmm. How would you take that selling skills that you learn into bartending and waitering and everything that you did in hospitality and put them into the perspective that you are right now dealing with all of the international clients?
I mean, I think I learned more. I think I learned the most out of like when another people was trying to sell to me when I was behind the bar, because when I was at Trio, Paul was the manager, but he wasn't really like, he was leaving everything to me just without the title, which was fine because I learned a lot. And then at Anglaterra, I was in charge, so I saw things from the other guys, like, I don't want to say names, but all the companies, but then we walk to the bar and I would be kind of like, this fucking guy. And then you would just be like, hi man, how are you doing, blah, blah. I learned a lot of that, kind of like what I was thinking, like that person was missing or was doing wrong. So I'm talking about the national market wise. Mm-hmm. So now when I'm being that person, the before was that fucking guy, now I'm trying to don't do the same mistake. So I learned a lot from that side. And in the international side, I think it's how to deal with like your background, kind of like, I don't know, we were in Asia, for instance, and when you give a business card, you give like 2 hands, and it's kind of like a matter of respect, and you take it from your inside pocket because it's like, it's another different vision of what that means. Here in the Western, it's like that you are just not even doing eye contact, doesn't matter. Those kind of things, like you still live in cities that have like a mix of cultures, and I think it's super interesting to respect that and try yourself to accommodate. It's kind of like some nationalities, they come to Denmark and they're like, oh, Danes are this, they are this. They don't change, and it's kind of like, well, you have to change if you are in their country, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think like that's what I kind of like read a bit better to. At Anglaterra, sometimes I wanted to kill some guests, but I just entirely couldn't for like legal reasons. But then you just kind of like learn how to, I don't know, redirect, manage your emotions, or also try to sometimes don't pick everything, like you don't have to win to be right. You seem to be right with yourself in peace, type of thing.
Absolutely, that's totally correct, and we've been there multiple times as well.
Right.
Trying to kill people from behind the bar, yes, absolutely. But working with all of this international, I believe your position reflects a bit more into brands, and you see how different brands and different cultures try to merge together. Do you have any approach of how nowadays brands are developing compared to, let's say, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the biggest, I'm going to be honest here, before I got my work at Copenhagen Distillery, I applied for 2 other big conglomerates for working in that position. And I got a better insight because I had some meetings there inside. I went to the interviews and so on. I met HR. I got pretty far in both. I didn't get it in the end. They chose the Danish person. But I came to notice there, then until a few years back, almost 100% of the employers, they were like business-oriented students, kind of they graduate in business. So when they were going to working in the spirit industry, and you have a bartender of Scotland, for that matter, just following the example, they don't care if you had the best grades in the other school. Like, you need to kind of like know what you're talking about. Like, don't try to bullshit me with stuff that you don't know what is the environment. So I think that's been changing, and I think companies have been realizing then for one side, people are demanding better. They don't want to walk to a bar that it has the same exact products that you can find in a bodega or that you can find in a top-end bar. Mm-hmm. Once again, not going to mention, but I think like people who are listening to this, they will know what I mean. So they want to become a bit more exciting, and yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think the first person, in my opinion, that this happened was like Rene. People are realizing that Rene was to adapt and Barmayer Ruby differently. So you can see now, for instance, moved to Diageo actually, and I, as far as I know, that was the first person that kind of like did that transition, and I think he made his impact, man. It was he improved Diageo, in my opinion, big time in the Danish market. So maybe that was kind of like the beginning of this changing, and now you see like some maybe smaller distilleries for now. They also try to like, okay, let's connect the business side because it's business. I mean, you're selling, you end up like selling spirits in this case. Yep. That's irrelevant for the equation. But then you need to have someone that can be a good blending of both sides, business and the bartenders you're gonna be selling to. So I think that's why it's changing. Also, you can see more activations. Like, people are realizing that like instead of like doing brandings at the airport or stuff like that, they need to do activations, meet the bartenders, do some fun stuff. People can get to try it. So I think it's super interesting how it's mutating a bit towards experiences, creating like certain, I don't know, then if the bar manager likes you and then also likes the product, they're gonna buy your product. Besides another one that could be better. Yeah. So it's also like dealing with fucking humans and not being like, yes, you have the product, yes, I'm following the contract, yes, you have the amount of bottles, yes, let's keep moving, okay, bye.
So it's more dealing with the emotion side of the thing. So as I see it, is more like this brand ambassadorship, call it like that, positions where there's the transition between the business and the bartenders or the industry, which are the link, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, the bar ambassadors, like, they don't sell. Yeah. You know, they do create that, but then you still, it's like, I don't know, who cares about football, but if you have like Messi giving you a ball so you can score, you still need a striker that can make the goal. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, in my opinion, most of the companies that I know that have the best brand ambassadors, they do not have the best like salesman afterwards. Mm-hmm. So for those companies, when you are an owner with money and you see, hey, we're wasting money on this, but we're not selling, let's go to the brand ambassador. And then in the end, it's all the way down then for the company. So I need to go together, mm-hmm. and perhaps let the salesman kind of like do a bit of what the brand ambassadors are doing at the moment. I think they're relevant for big groups, but as a sales guy, Denmark is not that big, man. If you're selling only in Denmark, you really can do both, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And then how do consumer prefer in Denmark to go for what kind of brands? As you are into your position now, I guess you are a bit more also on the field, but also in the back. Where do you see the trend going?
International wise, I see like a big relevance of the alcohol-free spirits. Okay. Honestly, I mean, yeah, there is the sparkling tea company, for instance. They're doing really well. Like, maybe people don't know how well they're doing because they're doing even better out of Denmark. But they also have like, well, from syrup companies to Ish, for instance, and so on. I think those guys are gonna do well. Problem with that though is like, once they reach a very high level, in my opinion, they're gonna have a lot of competition. So that's gonna be in a bit of a tough one. But they are in a good timing, in my opinion. I think they're gonna start moving also towards the whiskey. It's weird, man, because there are some brands that they do great in Denmark, but not good at all outside, and vice versa. You know, like us, for instance, like we're doing better and better in Denmark, but I think like we made, I don't know if it's a mistake, but we took the decision of when things were hitting off. We've been open for less than 10 years, almost 10 in a few months. When we started focusing way more in the export side because it's higher volumes, and of course you assume they're gonna have your city because you're from Copenhagen. And we started doing really well outside, and we still are, but we kind of like got a point that we realized like, but what about our city? You know, kind of like being called Copenhagen Distillery and not really being as present as we would like to. Like, you have Stockholm Branderi, and those guys, they own Stockholm. Like anywhere you go in Stockholm, it's like every single bar there, and people love it. People feel like connected with it. I don't know if we want to now achieve that, but we want to at least let people have their own opinion. Try to work with the right partners in that sense. But I don't know, man. How is this gonna change? I think it's also kind of like how to merge your daily basis with the drinking part. Sounds very alcoholic, but it's people like now when they got home and they drink a glass of wine, you can also have a gin and tonic, you know what I mean? Kind of like, and then sometimes we spend so much time doing things too complicated for the guests, and they get back home and say like, well, I'm gonna make a cocktail for Christmas with my friends. But then like what happened with the rest of the days? Kind of like pushing them out of the industry because I'm making it too complicated for them sometimes. I think it's nice, kind of like I don't know, and it's kind of like when you go to Alchemist and eat like top-notch type of food, but then you watch in YouTube channels of Gordon Ramsay how to cook in 20 minutes, you know what I mean? Kind of like if you can blend those two things, you can create special moments, but at the same time, do it yourself at home. I think it's also the future. High rotation of the products, people get a bit more, I don't know, experience and they try new stuff. Hopefully it can go that way.
That's a discussion that I really want to actually go a bit more deeper and somehow flip it on the bartender side, because you mentioned parts of you were going home after your job as a bartender or as a bar manager, as a person involved in the industry. How do you see that going? Do you believe that bartenders, waiters, or everybody working in the industry, they still want to go home and drink more, or how do you see it?
I think it's, I don't know, man. I'm gonna speak on behalf of, like, in my opinion, bartender that works in Denmark. I think there's there's very few bartenders, in my opinion, then they really, really, really care what they're doing. Kind of like they really kind of like take so professional 24/7. And I don't mean the other ones are kind of like doing something wrong, but I just don't think that I think they found themselves doing what they're doing and they just got better. Mm-hmm. And normally, when you look at the first guys, like, yeah, they will have a drink here and there, but for them it's like, this is work, you know, this is not just it. If you can have fun with your work, awesome, but they keep it there. And those are the guys that, like, now you see opening their own bars or working for bigger conglomerates or stuff like that. If they drink more at home or not, I think if you're in the industry, you kind of like lose a bit of touch of how much it is. Like, I remember, like, before, man, like I could drink until I'm tipsy and I would feel like I'm not drunk. But now that I'm out of the industry, it's kind of like, well, I could stop after like 2 glasses of wine, you know what I mean? But before it was like, it's one bottle, let's open the second one. So I think, like, in that sense, like, people still drinks, but it's, I don't know, man. I think, like, if it's who am I to judge if someone can drink or not? Like, as long as you get your shit together and you wanna do your stuff, like, it's also fun to get drunk, to be honest. Yeah. And better that you do it when you are in your 20s and 30s than when you are in the 50s with 15-year-old kids at home, you know?
Absolutely. So you said the big trend that is coming up is the non-alcoholic things, and then the whiskey. How do you see this non-alcoholic? Why this is going right now based on your experiences? Why now and not 4 years ago? Or why now in this moment? Is it because of generations, because of aging, because of cultures?
I think it's because of knowledge, in my opinion. Kind of like back in the days, you would go to a important restaurant and you would get a soda or a juice. Now, for profits for one side, and also for getting people to get the opportunity to try something also like Elevate, you have juice pairings in all the Michelin star restaurants. Mm-hmm. People also women get pregnant, not all of them, but you know what I mean. And then people are also like breastfeeding, people are driving. So it's a huge market there are more people who doesn't drink alcohol than drinks alcohol, mm-hmm. in that sense, like in a day by day, not, you can do both. So I think, like, in that sense, it's a bit more challenging, but it's gonna be big because, when you're drinking soda, you get most likely sugars, the bubble CO2 and so on. Like, it's healthier if you get a well-balanced alcohol-free cocktail. But I don't know, I think, like, there is different kind of like alternatives for you have, like, from the syrup bread you mix with water up to, dude, in Asia they have like stupidly good alcohol-free drinks. Then they can put even more time than normally with alcohol. Mm-hmm. I think it's challenging for many sides, like the expiration date when you make it, how fresh it have to be, how long it takes you. There are bars in the US making like alcohol-free Negronis and they have like all the ingredients making it there. So I see future in that. Like, I don't know, if you wanna take a go boat, if you wanna they can promote things with alcohol. You want to do a partnership with with I don't know, football team, by legal reasons they can promote alcohol because they are like viewers underage. So I think in that sense there are more opportunities for alcohol free. Perhaps for some people could be less interesting, but it has more use. So I do see potential in that going. But as I mentioned, like I think the competition is also like high, and to me, like in a not represent the company that I work for, but personal level, I would encourage people to just try things at home. You know, kind of like I don't know, you use lemon for doing a juice for your fish. Just take the peel out and just have fun. Try to see what you can do at home. It's kind of like empower yourself more, experimenting and taste things a bit out of like the ordinary. Get your own taste buds. It's kind of like I like gin and tonics, sure, okay, but which type of gins do you like, or kind of like which type of tonics you like to match? Kind of like try, just get a bit more like the experiment with your own tongue.
So it's more like self-teaching at home or in a bar, going and have a chat with somebody who is experienced.
100%.
Yeah. And right now I have a question. Probably I want you to keep in mind that you will probably represent the company. Do you believe that the non-alcoholic will gonna be a threat, or will gonna be at the same level with the alcoholic market in the next, let's say, 10 years?
I don't know, man. It's a tough question because, like, if you think about it, the non-alcoholic has been going since before we were born. The things like what we understand now about that is we thinking about like, oh, non-alcoholic cocktails. That's two different stuff. Like, I was raised drinking a soda when I was going to a restaurant. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I don't think it's gonna change, technically speaking. But I do think there's gonna be a higher introduction of like a more elaborate, more complicated, if you might say, products in the alcohol-free side. I do think that like it's gonna be challenging for everyone because you have like the spectrum is so much bigger, you know, from you name it, like any type of fruit, any type of herbs, any type of tea. Like you can really do, the sky's the limit. So I think that's gonna bring maybe the best out of the companies to be a bit more experimental and just trying to introduce new stuff. Like, I don't know, you go to South America, they have a super sweet tooth. You go to Asia, it's far more tart and bitter. Europe, depends on the country that you are. So I think it's fascinating that we move from like elderflower soda to something that has like 5-6 ingredients, or maybe something that was treated differently. So how it's gonna be in 10 years? I just hope that like people always, that doesn't sound healthy, but I hope that they drink other stuff besides water, regardless if it has alcohol or not. I think it's just the industry what benefits, creates more interest. People are gonna be more excited. Like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like at one workplace, I don't want to say which one, if you had a bartender sick, they would be like, just get a waiter. They're gonna just like go shake some cocktails for you. But in the other way around, if the waiter was missing, it was like, no, there's no fucking way we're gonna get one of the bartenders in. I think there's such a big undermining of the industry, at least for what I'm gonna speak only on behalf of Copenhagen. In restaurants, they have bar and restaurant. They're kind of like, everyone can just shake. But no, not everyone can cook, and not everyone can just be a waiter. So I think that is something that like is gonna change. Like you see way higher like level in bars, mostly around the globe, but Denmark is going in the right direction, and the Nordics in general, you know. So I think like people are gonna get to realize then like the bartender is not just that guy there is shaking stuff for me, then asking for the dark and stormy. Asia's already there. Like Asia has like a huge respect for the bartender, and it's coming. Like you have bartenders of like 50 years, like 50 years plus. They're still bartending forever, and they do everything themselves. It's a different level of like culture behind about it. So hopefully it's gonna get more in that side. Then why can you pay 4K for food, but for you a cocktail for 180 is like, wow, you nuts, you know. That's something that I think in that direction is gonna change, and that will involve as well alcohol free. I mean, I fucking hope so. Otherwise, like, I want to be serving dark and stormies forever in this country.
Well, we never know.
In 10 years, ask me.
You mentioned that you can take a waiter and put it behind the bar, and not a bartender, and the opposite. Do you believe that something in the history, when back in the days, if we take a look back, if we take a step back and we look, bartender was a bit more respected. I mean, a lot more respected than it is right now. At least that's my opinion.
In Denmark?
Not necessarily in Denmark, in general, in the world.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I shared that. I don't think I agree.
No?
To be honest, no. I think that like they were just far less bartenders. I'm talking about just Denmark, like far less bartenders now. I just think there's also like a misconception of people. Like
All right.
people think like I remember like back in the days when I was at Angleterre, and I would meet like someone that would be like 50 years plus. Let's say my ex mother-in-law would be like a bartender. She would think like I would be shaking cocktails in cucaracha with a pistola, like with those cans things that is like soda. But they would be like Angleterre, and she would be like, whoa. But then like you would talk with someone for bars, then like I strongly know that they're better than Angleterre, and they would be kind of like, it's just Angleterre, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a misconception of the information. So I think that the respect, it's in Denmark, it wasn't there in the beginning. There were very few bars, you know, open. Like, and the guys who start the first top cocktail bars in this city, they are all either they sold the company and they are doing great in something related with the industry still, or they still have the bars open and they are institution of this city. And I'm not talking about like 30 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm talking about way more recent than that. So it's new from the Nordics, like, and worldwide. I think it's growing, man. Like I mean, for instance, like I don't know. It's hard to say without mentioning people, but also not being too vague. But there are like certain cities now, then they're having more and more bars highly appreciated internationally, and they're from different part of the world that they were not there before. It's always been, it used to be much more like the US and Asia. Now there's another parts in between, another new countries obviously that are showing up. So I think it's creating a bit more, I don't know, people slowly want to go more to try a nice cocktail. Like, yeah, I don't know, it's hard.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate it. And then I have a question related with your switch, because there are many people. I got this question for a couple of friends of mine. When you go out of the bartending, when you go out of the kitchen, when you go out of the waitering, what you can do? And then there's different possibilities that you can do. You can go with brands, you can go with sales, you can go in any areas of the business, at least I believe, and you have some transferable skills. What kind of primary skills you took from your experiences in the hospitality and then went to this position, and you can say, okay, I learned sales just by sailing dark and stormy, or I did this because of this. Do you have any examples into your mind?
I think this is gonna sound extremely fucking cheesy and super corny, but I think like just in countries like Denmark, they're not that big. Just be nice, man. I mean, just be nice with people. Like, it's not that I'm saying like all this Reiki thing of like karma in general. Like, I mean, I do believe in karma, but that's not the topic. But I just be nice. You never know how things are gonna turn around. Like, I mean, I'm an asshole sometimes. Like, I can be an asshole. I mean, I'm sure there are people who listen to this. Some people that know me and they don't like me. Like, that's fine. That's fair enough. But I still think that like sometimes with such small things that you can do, you don't have no idea this butterfly effect afterwards. Like in my case, the person who recommended me to get in that position was someone that I worked for only 2 weeks. But I create a positive impact with that person. That recommended me to take me to the distillery. So you never really know. Skills, like you have the best set skills, but if they never give you the chance, you're never gonna be able to showcase how you are. And I think that happens a lot in this industry for the next step. There are some companies that they want this kind of like a bit more structured thing of like career, what do you do, blah, blah. But if you wanna become a very good bartender in this case, most likely you didn't go to university or you went beforehand, so you don't have the experience. So in any case, like it kind of like go against you. I think it's like the logic of buying an apartment. The hardest part is like buying the first apartment. Then when you own one, banks are going to be more flexible. The same, you need to just get out in the somehow to that side of the industry. What can you do? I mean, yeah, man, sure, like sales or opening your own place or getting a sponsorship with someone or leaving the country as well. Like this guy, Steve, awesome dude, bartender. He's funny as fuck, Scottish as well. He in the whiskey bar from Lidcube, he met a guy who was like, I fucking love what you're doing. A random Thursday at that day, daytime, I was like, I love what you do. I own, I don't know, it was like a 60% of like a diamond mine. And he was like, I want to take you with me. So are you willing to open 3 bars in Asia? And the guy was like, let's fucking go. And he left and he's just all over now for an absolutely random Thursday. If that guy would have wake up that morning, just being an asshole with the guests. I mean, guests can be assholes as well. Don't misunderstand me. But if he wouldn't have done that, who knows where he will be? So I kind of like try to, in my opinion, like my suggestion would be like, try to be smart of what you're doing. Work hard, of course, but also work smart and see what you like. Kind of like, what do you feel that you're good at? What would you find interesting about it? What would you like to do in 10 years? Like, and of course, we're never gonna have the answers, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and a lot of shit can happen in your life,
Mm-hmm.
But I think like as long as then what is your plan for tomorrow, then you're just gonna keep moving in the right direction with detours or not, but you're going the direction. And it's sad sometimes when you see qualified people that they don't get the opportunity just because of no connections, no network, or language barriers or stuff like that. It's a shame, but I also think there is like, I'm not saying that like it's their fault, but I think there are some things there they could have done differently to kind of like open small windows here and there. And then when the time comes, it comes.
So saying having a plan is more powerful than not having a plan. If you are willing to share with us, what is your plan? Where is your aim to go forward? With distillery, without distillery, in life, into your career, do you want to exit the hospitality completely to do another shift, or you just want to stay and continue developing more into it?
I don't have any plans to leave the industry. I mean, I guess we never know, but I don't think so. I don't know. I think like I don't want to make this kind of like as my work podcast, but I profoundly believe in the products that we're selling and we're making. I think there were some internal structural things that they could have been done better, and I think we are on it. And I see the response in markets that I find exciting. So I truly think that like, I mean, I want to believe that things are gonna go in a very high direction. Just take it from there. I do want to now do as much travel as I can to increase the network and being able to do more work remote. You can't really meet someone from here when it's someone out of the country, you know what I mean? So in that sense, I need to be out, meet them, talk, and then go visit them here and there. I don't know, man. I remember like one of my best moments like in the industry has been when you end up having like this regular, but not the fucking guy who walks in every Friday and you're like this fucking dick. I'm talking about like some person you're kind of like happy to see, a bit of their life and everything. And just regardless like how they dress, male, female, how much money they have, you realize that you see in their eyes, or they even tell you that you're creating special moments for them. That is something that like, I don't know, sounds a bit idealistic, but like, I think like it would be everything way easier if we kind of like move that feeling from this side. Kind of like, I have a friend from France. He's actually the son of a vineyard quite big in France, but he has nothing to do with us. But I fucking love the guy. He has a bottle of orange gin every time at home. He sent me photos with his wife. He said like, oh, I've been Copenhagen like 6 times. He's like, I fucking love it. So he has on the weekends a bottle with him and his wife. He sent me photos. And like, it's a silly, tiny thing. And of course, like you can live off like these dreams because they're still built to be made for the distillery for myself. But it's nice kind of like creating some moment. I have a friend from Korea that makes an amazing gin. Like, I think it's insane. It's not in Europe yet, and I'm trying to help him out to get it out. So if anybody's interested, let me know. Buja gin is insane. And that guy have the bottle there at home, and like, I don't know, created those moments. And if we can create that to people at home, I think that's what restaurants do now. You have your favorite restaurant's anniversary. That is when you met someone. And now slowly there are some bars that have been long enough, then people can now say like, this is our favorite bar or whatever. People can have their favorite gin, the favorite whiskey, whatever at home. I think that's what it's all about, like mixing food and drinks with just emotion.
That's great. And I believe that's a very, very nice timing and way to leave our listeners to hang on. And I have for you the last two questions, as I mentioned in the beginning. We're gonna be one question where we ask everybody, and then it's a question tailor-made for your profile. So the question that we want to ask everybody is, what advice would you give to someone who's making a career change, like yours?
I like when they are already doing the change, or they will like to do a change?
If they would like to do a change,
I think do it as soon as you have the feeling, or start trying as soon as you have the feeling. Like it's kind of like this metaphor of like the train. If the train is leaving, it's not coming back. So talk to your closest people, have an idea of what you like to do, and I don't know, just express it. I know it's complicated sometimes when you have a boss. You don't want your boss to know that you're leaving your job or whatever, so be smart about it. But just kind of like try. Like if you leave the bartending job, you will always have a job again for you if you're good enough. Maybe not in the place you were dreaming for, but you can always come back. But it's a few times you can manage to get your foot out of the industry. So just try. And perhaps even you change, you leave, and then you miss it so much you want to come back. I know one relevant bartender in town that left the industry, he went out of the bar, and now he's back because he missed it and he loves it. So you know better when you try. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, that's what I would recommend the most. And just also, I think it's important in this country to open up your horizons. Like you can have your group of friends, awesome, but also shake hands with other people, talk with other people, be nice with other people. Then it's easier for you to also care about someone else, and then someone else gonna care about you. So if they know you're looking for something, they might help you out as well. You know.
Yeah. And then I have one more question, which is the last one. What kept you motivated while working behind the bar, while being in front of the guest? Well, what kept you going there every single day? Because it's a tough position, and it's tough to work during the nights. It's tough to work late hours. Mm-hmm. What kept you going the second day, saying, I really want to go, and I really want to do that?
I think it was always like having a goal that really kept me on. Like if I felt then like I was like reaching a roof, I would leave the place. It was always like something that like from how can I do this cocktail faster? How can I place the speed rack better? From those stuff like small things in your daily basis to also how can I go faster to this table and come back? What should I do with my hands? All those small things to also towards like what I want to do in the future. How can I go in that direction? That kind of like feeling that you're running is like a fucking hamster in a wheel, you know, but it's kind of like something that is trying to chase the cheese. That keep me motivated, keep my mind occupied, and keep myself like top notch because I want to get the best out of myself. Once you lose the motivation, you stop caring, and that's dangerous because then you can harm yourself in many different ways, doing stuff that you didn't want to do or taking wrong decisions. And I think it's a dangerous game to be demotivated in this industry. Mm-hmm. So keep yourself motivated. That's what I
absolutely love it, and we are on the same page on this one. So Pedro, I would like to say a big thank you for being here, mm-hmm. and really looking forward to see you next time as well.
Yeah,
hopefully it's going to be a next time.
yeah, in 10 years we said like we're going to put a booking.
You never know.
Thank you for inviting me. It was
my pleasure.
It was really cool.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Barbox, the podcast. This episode was produced by Mihai Paul and I, Manuel Lica, with thanks to Midnight Media Company. Please find us on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you are getting your podcasts. Be sure you subscribe and rate us. Thank you.